Nothing moves your vibe, your mood, or your appetite like the taste of grace.
Pepsi.
Cool! Let's just get one. What you hungry, man?
We are the king of this. Like how we are the king of burgers.
Taste rules your way at Burger King. The best tasting burgers under the...
That's the final whistle. I'm Jordan Ford. Hello and welcome to another edition of our show here. Thank you so much for joining us. What an incredible round of 16 we just witnessed, and that has culminated now. The 8 teams for the quarterfinals have been decided, so that chapter is closed. It's going to be exciting going forward, as it has been based on what we've seen so far. Now, the 8 teams that survived the round of 16, they're going to match up against each other starting on Friday. So we get a couple rest days, Wednesday and Thursday, and then on Friday, December 9, back into action, and Saturday, December 10, and they'll whittle it down a little bit more to 4 for the semi-final, and then, of course, only 2 will go to the final, and only 1 will be the winner. So, the greatest show on earth is never short of controversy or intrigue. We have coach and technical director of Humble Lion, Andrew Price, with us. There's Andrew. Former reggae girl, Sharona Forrester, not a reggae girl anymore, but she still thinks she's got something up her sleeve. We shall find out what we shall find out. Assistant coach at FC Cincinnati 2, Shavar Thomas, is also here, and the technical director at Campion College, Eric Rademacher. They are on set with me. They are the experts, and they'll help you break down what you just saw, just in case you don't quite understand the nuances. We're also joined on Zoom by junior analyst Liam Henriquez and assistant coach of Salal SC, Miguel Coley, who is in the Gulf state of Qatar. So before we get into our discussion this afternoon, let's join the Maverick, who is, as usual, on the go.
As usual, the Maverick is on the go. And I keep telling you, you can never know. World Cup, sweet like sugar. Yeah, who that to say a while ago? Portugal, 6-star? Eh? No, sir. All right, obviously, you've seen where we are. Yeah, we're in the middle of Franklin Town. Well, the upper part of Franklin Town, yeah, where they have Victoria Street, right across the road from the world famous Franklin Town Primary School. And right across the road from the primary school, we found a big mini stadium, yeah, with some interesting characters in the stadium, just follow the Maverick. You see me things step up from the other day, me things step up, but don't make that stay. Yeah, as we say, we have some interesting characters, and the first person we're going to talk to is the stadium announcer. Yeah, he make the most noise in the stadium and tell everybody everything. Look at this face, people. One of the most familiar faces in Jamaica and the world, not just in football. Mr. Carlton Spanner Dennis. How you do, sir?
Boy, we are going to watch them, not Tracy. Yeah, we're there.
All right. World Cup. We're in the middle of Franklin Town, a year zone. And we couldn't help but run into Spanner. But we have to pick your brain about this World Cup here down in Qatar. Right. First things first. I don't want to talk about Brazil alone, because they're going to say we're biased. Yeah, but just overall, the World Cup, as you're seeing it, what's your impression?
World Cup.
Yeah?
We good World Cup. It's one of the best World Cup you have for a long time. Yeah. Yeah, man.
You like the upsets or your figure say?
Yes, you will have more upset too.
Yeah.
I feel we're going to have one Saturday.
Which game that you refer to?
Netherlands.
All right. Against the other team. All right. I want to ask you one more thing, Spanner. I can't talk to Spanner and don't talk to him about Brazil. Because him is a little bit more Brazilian than me. How we look, my boss?
35 minutes, the best 35 minutes for the whole World Cup. Yeah. Say no more.
Say no more. Carlton Spanner Dennis. The stadium announcer for the mini stadium in a Franklinstown, Victoria Street. What go on, my boss? This man have a nickname named Badger. I don't know why them call him so. What go on, my boss?
Yeah,
Yeah, man. They're World Tracy.
All right, glad for drop on the ends. This is a Maverick Arena, the final whistle. TVJ's post-World Cup show. All right, here what me want to ask you now. You, me see you with the Brazil arm on your hand, but more you take off the Brazil cap now. You say Portugal a while ago. You say a youngster come in, score a hat-trick, Christopher on the bench. How dangerous is this Portugal team to the World Cup title?
Well, so far, them looking good. And they look like them reach somewhere, but there's a dream team.
Yeah.
They ain't going to lick off anybody head. And that is Brazil.
Well, I can't take the bias Brazil people, let me know. We are look some variety. All right, this is another. Hold on, sorry. This man have another perspective. What my boss? This is the big boss from here. Yeah. All right. You know, the Brazil bandwagon business. So how you see the World Cup now? Somebody inside the stadium, I said earlier, said nobody no state no claim to the World Cup yet. How you see it?
Well, it kind of confusing. Yes, good football just started play, and France look good. Portugal look excellent today without Ronaldo. And Brazil look away, but we have to see what the God do first before we can't say anything. From God still in it, anything can happen.
People on a pardon the blasphemy, but it's Lionel Messi them call the word there. We can't do that on TV. But we having a ball around here. Yeah, right. What the pub name again, my boss? What the place name again? Mackey's Stadium, Mackey's Mini Stadium. And as we say, Spanner is the stadium announcer. Some ladies is inside there, you know. But from Spanner, walk up him out and start talk loud. The woman them frightened and run gone. But in the meantime and between time, just like how the Mavericks step up. The Mavericks step up, you know. So right now, we are going to seal off. See one of the ladies. Come here, my friend. Come here. Obviously, by the color of your attire, I don't have to ask what team you support. Well, I'm just going to ask for formalities.
Big side, the big side.
Yeah, you don't call her name. I want to ask you something. You are obviously a female. Okay. All right. Is it because of the World Cup why you're into football, or you're a football lady per se?
You know, sir, right here, so them come teach me about football.
Yeah.
Right here, so.
Right at the mini stadium, so.
Them come teach me about
right
football.
Right here.
Mackey's
mini stadium.
Yes.
Yeah. And them indoctrinate to support the team, or you just see the team and like the team.
Well, it's basically, I'm a Liverpool fan now, so I work with AB.
Sorry,
I work with the big AB, the big keeper. The big keeper.
Listen, Becca. All right, the Mavericks got to go. Because, you know, we're always on the go. As me tell you, so we step up, you know. We step up. We step up, you know. The Mavericks step up, you know. Somebody take that, you know. Are you ready?
You need to learn to ride a bike before trying to ride a bike on live TV. But, of course, you never know what the Maverick will do when he is on the go. I tell you that 95% of Jamaica was happy yesterday because 95% of Jamaica are Brazil fans. And Brazil with such an incredible performance yesterday that I am pretty sure people had put all their differences aside, and maybe, warring factions had forgotten that they were even at war yesterday when the Brazilians were turning on the styles in Qatar. Of course, they'll face Croatia in the quarterfinal of the tournament. But let us get to what happened today, because we just saw Portugal turn on the style against Switzerland and boot them out of the tournament at the round of 16 stage. Of course, let me just reintroduce you to my friends here. I've got Andrew Price, Shavar Thomas, Eric Rademacher's Sharona Forrester on set with me. Miguel Coley and Liam Henriquez are on Zoom. All right, I have to start, lady and gentlemen, with the big news of this match, that Cristiano Ronaldo started on the bench. And of course, in hindsight, Fernando Santos, the Portuguese coach, looking like a brilliant tactician because his team ran out 6-1 winners. I don't think Ronaldo touched the field until they were 5-1 up. So there you have that. Coach Price, having seen that, I know it brings a smile to your face as a coach, because now the coach looks like a genius having made that decision.
Yes, definitely a power play by the coach. We heard before the game that there were some distractions within the camp between Ronaldo and the coach, and coach wasn't pleased with it, and he made a decision not to start him today. And the person who he brought in came up trumps, Gonzalo Ramos, scored a hat-trick. It's the first hat-trick in the entire World Cup, so definitely people are considering the coach a genius. But I think Portugal played some very good football today. Switzerland didn't report, but at the same time, I think Portugal really showed some good movement today. They were moving the ball very well, and Ramos was a real live wire. I thought they played well. Defensively, they looked pretty sound also. So a good victory for them going into the quarterfinals.
Of course, every time we analyze a game, we have to do it in the context of who the opponent was. 6-1 for Portugal looks glittering. They were playing against a Swiss team that you said didn't report today, Coach Price. They just didn't show up. But does this change your mind any at all about whether or not Portugal are true contenders?
Well, they're one of the contenders, but I still don't think that this is a big statement. Switzerland didn't really play well today. They didn't play with the defensive lines that they did against Brazil. I think they went toe-to-toe with Portugal, and I think that was the wrong thing. And they also went back to a back three instead of a back four. So I think that also left them exposed, especially on the flanks. And, so I don't want people to read too much into it. Portugal did well, and we have to give them credit for what they did today. But, they're going to have some tough oppositions coming up for the remainder of the tournament.
Coach Coley, the young man Gonzalo Ramos getting a hat-trick for the Portuguese, rewarding the faith paid in him by his coach Fernando Santos. Tell me why he was so successful against the Swiss, given what we've seen in prior games. As Coach Price has said, even Brazil found it difficult to break them down.
Well, first of all, I'm happy for Ramos. The coach got a lot of flack when he had he chose 4 strikers for the World Cup: Horta, Silva, Ronaldo, Ramos. Those 4 strikers, because person said they need Sanchez, the midfielder that was in PSG. But Ramos, he moves a lot, much more than Ronaldo. He's about nearly the same height as him, so he's good also in heading. And you see the goal, a typical striker. The ball is down, he hits up when you're inside of the box. So, but overall, I believe that the tactic that the coach used against Portugal, I don't understand. I'm sitting here and I'm wondering. I go back. I remember playing against Switzerland when Heinz Field was the coach. They played 4-2-3-1. Petrovic, when he came back, they played 4-2-3-1. Sometimes play 3-5-2. But with the 3-5-2, especially having something with a number 10, they were trying to high press on the Portuguese team, and that played in their hand, in the Portuguese hand, in which they were utilize the flank, change the ball, a lot of orientation changes, and then the first vertical passes through to Ramos in the end. So I believe the tactic was very wrong. And when you look at Switzerland and analyze them, against Cameroon, they use Ganje and Elvede. Against Brazil, they use Elvede again. Against Serbia, they use Shah, and then a new defender in this game. And to say Rodriguez is one of your more potent wing back, and also Vargas is one of your most potent winger. And to have Vargas coming back in the back 4 and Rodriguez coming in the back 3 and having Elvede on the bench, I was wondering what the coach, I don't know if I can say smoking, but I don't know what he was smoking when you think about this tactic. So, normally they create a block. They dictate where the team play, push them to the side, and try to create trigger points. But today they were I don't know, Shaqiri, a striker. I did that one time, something like this when against Georges, I got 5-0.
But you kept your job, Coach, and you had a successful time at Jamaica College. Coach Rademacher's, what about this Swiss lineup? What about as Coach Coley says, what was the coach really thinking when he set his team up against this Portuguese team like this?
We actually spoke about it yesterday, to what degree is a coach going to change his formation that they kind of know and the tactical game plan towards an opponent and maybe what danger they brought. And as both Coley and Price mentioned, they are comfortable with that 4-man backline. And it must have been some approach. As I say, I don't understand why a person like Vargas, you're going to make him do more defensive work when he's somebody that you really want to put the energy towards forward. I don't really understand why you put Shaqiri more towards the middle when you want to kind of create more space and even allow him to roam a little more, to leave space behind him. So I'm not sure, but I think what's crucial, even if the 3-5-2 would tactically maybe have worked, you have to have players with individual performances. And I think that is also part. We mentioned Xhaka is a player who's having a good season at Arsenal. But in these knockout games, you need to have not even just Xhaka, you need to have Xhaka step up and Shaqiri step up and Akanji step up. And then also you have to hope that Portugal is not that sharp. And I think what Portugal has been doing very good, I think they take care of the ball very well. I actually think that the game that Spain is known for, that they want to play, is what Portugal plays, but better. They're keeping the ball very comfortable, just like Spain, but they actually are able to create more when they go forward. And I thought with Ramos was a good addition, who's more lively, who's more energy, makes more movement. And I thought Portugal did a great job and Switzerland a poor job. And then you can see a 5-goal difference in a round of 16.
Yeah, the biggest margin of victory in this round of 16. I know Sharona, Shavar are chomping at the bit to get in. So too is Liam. But we have to take a break on Final Whistle. Stay with us. We come back with lots more discussion.
Final Whistle brought to you by Digicel, Grace, Pepsi, and Burger King.
Grace Foods got the taste that moves you. Yard and abroad, it moves you. Grace Foods, the taste that moves you. Feel the vibes and the time of the day. Grace Foods from the end. Yeah, the taste that moves you. From the spices move you. Everybody shout out Grace. When the food sweet, we dance. When the vibe nice, we love. Yeah. The taste that moves you. Grace bringing the food you love.
Grace has the taste that everyone loves. That's why when we move with Grace.
What is up?
Because it's the season of giving, enjoy enough pickings this Christmas with a chance to pick and win your share of over 16 million in cash and prizes. Plus, get 25% off a 7 or 28-day Prime Brota bundle in the My Digicel app today. Enter to pick and win with Digicel this Christmas.
Final Whistle brought to you by Digicel, Grace, Pepsi, and Burger King.
Welcome back now to Final Whistle, continuing with our discussion of Portugal versus Switzerland. The Portuguese running out 6-1 winners over the Swiss to book their spot in the quarterfinals. Want to get Sharona in on this one as well. Sharona, what did you see? Why were Switzerland so bad today, and why were Portugal so successful?
I think the main thing is you're not in your shape. You're not keeping your shape. And Portugal, they had the players, and I said, you know, if Switzerland kept on playing the way they were and Portugal kept on, you know, sleeping and not playing good football, of course, they would not have won. And it would have been a more, you know, evenly contested matchup. And then Portugal would just edge it. Portugal scored 2 goals in the first half, you know, and I don't think it was over. But I didn't see any belief in the Swiss team this game. They weren't, you know, creating blocks, or it wasn't defensively tight as a unit, as we have seen in the previous games. I think Portugal exploited that, and they're like, everybody coming on wants a goal now.
Yeah, I mean, usually when it gets to this stage, you see the cream rise to the top. Of course, we're going to talk about the fact that Spain were knocked off by Morocco. We'll talk about that a little later on. But the big teams generally, once it gets to the knockout stages, you know, they show their worth. Liam, I want to bring you in on this one as well. What did Portugal do so well today?
Well, I want to say the decision by Fernando Santos to not start Ronaldo was fantastic. I've been saying he's not the X factor he was. What was great for them was Ramos moving. You know, when we've seen Ronaldo, as he's got approaches old age, he just doesn't move anymore as much as he should be. So that number 9 striker should be moving and creating the space and moving to the ball and, you know, helping the guys who are supporting him so they can play him the balls. And that's what Ramos did fantastically. You know, we saw in the third goal, he was, you know, created the space to the point where he was basically, you know, he has miles of space. There was not a Switzerland guy on him, and they all had to, you know, shift towards him. So him playing that number 9 was fantastic, as they had a striker that would actually move and, you know, show for the ball, which Ronaldo wasn't. So that was a great decision. And yeah, they did a great job exploiting the Switzerland defense, even the Guerrero goal that Portugal had. Again, tons of space. So I think they're just fantastic from Portugal. Only thing now is they have a dilemma: are they gonna, bench Ronaldo for the rest of the World Cup?
Yeah, I don't know if it's much of a dilemma, Liam, seeing that Ramos came in and scored a hat-trick in his place. But it reignites the debate. It's more fodder for that Messi versus Ronaldo debate. And of course, we spoke about it on this show, and I was mentioning the fact that, we had spoken about whether or not Ronaldo should even play. And Liam, you were bold enough when the older heads weren't to say that he should be sitting on the bench. Fernando Santos finally relented and sat him on the bench, and we saw it pay dividends. What does this do, though, for the whole debate? I mean, it's going to rage on in terms of Messi versus Ronaldo. And right now, I think we can see that Ronaldo's winning.
Yeah, I am a Messi fan. I think Messi is a better player, but even as a Messi fan, I do want to see Ronaldo playing. I want them going to head-to-head, even possibly if they end up in the final together. I was looking at Portugal's lineup, and I think there is a way they could fit in both of them if they wanted to. They could play a 4-4-2 with Ramos and Ronaldo up top. Maybe Bernardo Silva and Otavio on the wings, and Carvalho and Bruno in the middle. So there is a way to get both of them in there, and those two deadly strikers could actually, even help the team even more. But definitely, I would not take out Ramos at all. Scoring a hat-trick is, in his first start is unbelievable. So, whether they decide to bench Ronaldo or fit him in, like I said, it's up to them. But, it would be great to see Ronaldo playing.
So you would replace Joe Felix, Liam?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Interesting.
I played a 4-4-2, Ronaldo and them up top. And then on the wings, it could either be Leao, Otavio or Bernardo, and then Bruno and Carvalho in the middle.
Yeah, I want Coach Coley to come in here as well, because when we had this debate first, Coach Coley said, well, the two different players, can't compare them. But of course, the comparison is not going to go away, Coach Coley. Would you give any thought, though, to playing both Ronaldo and Ramos in the quarterfinal? Or, how would you split the decision here, given that Fernando Santos now is going to be faced with a decision?
Well, for me, my principle is always that you don't want to be the changer or winning team. Ronaldo is great. And then you have to look at why would you want to play a front two against, what are the benefits in playing a front two against the next opponent? So you have to look at certain things in which you probably to play two to exploit certain things and play with Ronaldo. So I'll still go with Ramos. He did fantastic. And going forward, they need that solid three-man midfield that's pivotal today. Octavio, although he's a winger, he came inside of the midfield and he did very well. He created a lot of movements. Bruno, many times he's a midfielder, but because he naturally comes in and he creates a lot of space if it's Dalot playing or Cancelo. So you put in Ronaldo will change a lot of things. And at this stage, you don't want to be changing too much or too many things, sorry.
Shavar, we're talking during the break, and I think most people were wondering, where was this guy, Gonzalo Ramos, before this game? But he was actually on quite a roll before the start of the World Cup for Benfica, had scored 4 goals in the last 3 matches leading up to the World Cup. He's just 21 years old, barely got a couple of minutes in, I think 2 minutes and 8 minutes in the first 2 matches of the World Cup. Now here he is, gets his opportunity. Ronaldo's never scored a knockout stage goal at the tournament. And here he comes in and scores 3 in a single match. How do you sum up his performance, though?
No, it's still no comparison to Ronaldo, because the guy has been doing this over 10, 15 years. But, the kid took his chance. He got his opportunity. He was on a roll, like you said, before the World Cup and hit form the right time. And the coach saw that and, went with it, and it pays off today.
Yeah, Coach Price, what goes into these decisions? Because I think sometimes maybe a coach is tentative, which is probably why he didn't start from the outset. As I said, he's just 21. He's still new to this stage. I think the commentator said something like he was still in short shorts.
Or Pepe could be his father.
Yeah, Pepe could be Cristiano Ronaldo could be. He's 16 years his senior.
Yeah.
So maybe there was that lack of a trust factor, but maybe Ronaldo made it easier for him, given the descent that he showed in the last match.
Yes, people have to understand that sometimes we're not aware of what goes on in the training grounds and at camps. And we don't know the dynamics that are taking place within the Portugal camp. But obviously, Ramos must have been doing very well in the training sessions for him to be given that auspicious task of starting today, having only played 8 minutes prior to this game. So definitely he must have been performing. And the mere fact that Ronaldo got into a feud with the coach for being substituted in the last game, and the coach wanted to send a message to the entire camp by starting Ramos, he gave him the opportunity and he took it with both hands and did exceedingly well. To score a hat-trick in your first start for your country is a major achievement. So he has a big decision to make when they play Morocco, and I don't want to be in his shoes.
Coach Rademacher, what do you do? Because as we said, having this confidence now for the youngster, it can go either way, can't it? Because, it could go to your head, as we, say in Jamaica, and, your head gets too big, and maybe you start him in the next game and he doesn't give you this kind of performance because maybe has gotten complacent or is not as hungry. Or, he could be so motivated having scored a hat-trick. So as a coach, handling a 21-year-old in this situation, how would you handle it?
Of course, you're going to look at the personality. And as you say, if you're in camp with them, you spend so much time with them, you know their personality, what type of player is this? Is it a 21-year-old who's very mature, or is this a 21-year-old that's still in that maturing phase? And those things will play a role, but also, as Coach Coley said, the tactical decision. You have a certain strength and weakness as a player, and if you as a coach start to analyze the opponent and you realize certain strengths would expose the weakness, you might use a certain player. Of course, you're going to look at the form and what kind of mental stability are they having, what kind of tired legs they're having. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a rational decision based on the information that he has in front of him. And I think the only part that's kind of going to make him a little nervous is that it's not tested. As we see a lot of coaches say, we like to work with players and formations that are proven. But with young players, you don't have that. So that give a little bit extra, at least as a coach, to say, all right, he shows us in training, it fits the tactical game plan, but can he translate it into a match in a quarterfinal in the World Cup? And then some coaches are more likely to take a risk than others. And I think today showed that he is one of those coaches that says, no, when the opportunity is there, I'm not too shy to actually give it a try.
Yeah, and maybe that's also the reason why we haven't seen Rafael Leao, for example, play a more prominent role, because we know the talent he's shown.
Yeah,
he's also a young player.
Yeah, when it comes to Leao, I cannot help but feel like in training he's not showing as much that what we've seen him do in the season at the AC Milan. When we see who gets chances, and I think Leao really at this stage deserves a start.
But right now, you wouldn't be showing much in training because it's just rest and
No, but leading up in camps, whatever they have, leading up to it, you're going to get a certain energy from a player.
And you have to see the appetite. The player has to show the appetite.
Exactly.
And if you don't show the appetite in training...
So when I mean training at this stage is not necessarily like you played a full training and he was the best player in training, but you're going to recognize a certain appetite, a certain desire, a certain sharpness.
But how much do you balance that, though, against what the player does under the bright lights? Because Leao has come on twice now and has scored twice.
That's why I'm wondering, it must be something in the training ground that makes the coach feel I prefer to still work with Otavio, maybe, with Leao.
Let's say he has a very good problem on his hands.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Price said it best, I would love to be in his shoes right now. But at the same time, every decision he will make, there's a great argument for the decision he did not make.
True.
And media is going to have a run with that.
Do you have experiences with those types of players, those Shavar? Players who, they come to training and they may not necessarily be that motivated, but once those bright lights turn on and they're in a competitive environment.
Most definitely.
They give the headache.
Well,
and you have the opposite as well.
You have seen it,
Because you have people who play in training, and we call them training baller. But they don't
exercise
play in the game.
Precisely. Precisely.
So you just have to tap into the psychological aspect of the situation and the player.
And know your player.
Yeah,
you have to know your player. Yeah. You know your expectations.
Exactly.
Coach Coley, as a coach, what would Fernando Santos have proven today? We now have the benefit of hindsight and saying, okay, you dropped Ronaldo, the country's greatest ever player, arguably, and you win 6-1. But we can say that now from the comfort of our homes after seeing the match. But what happens before? You know that if you drop Ronaldo and you lose, then it's off with your head maybe. So what did the coach prove by saying, listen, I'm the man here, I'm deciding to keep the country's best player on the bench, and I'm going to play with the horses that I've selected?
Well, I have the legacy of working with a few Portuguese coaches. And even before the World Cup, there were a lot of persons in Portugal, because Portugal is a football country, right? We're saying that maybe Ronaldo should start, or maybe. So there was a big debate about should Ronaldo start or not. So the coach is not a young coach, or he has proven himself many times. He was very good with Greece, and he have a big CV. So he's a very big coach. So yes, it is a lot of pressure, of course. And the fact that he did it and he was successful is important. But when you look Portugal, people will say, okay, this guy in this match, the coach wants the team to be pressing. Ronaldo cannot give that. He wants the striker to be moving in the space. Ronaldo don't do that very well. So from the game model and from the tactic, even if the game didn't go favorable with Portugal, many persons in Portugal will say, look, this is what the coach doing. This is what he wants to do. And the issue about Leo, because Portugal has so many midfielders, you look at Vitina, Neves, Mario Paulina, the coach doesn't have the legacy of wingers, only Leo and Octavia, who he puts inside of the midfield. So to start him sometimes, it's like he's like his weapon. So he keeps him on the bench so that he can put him in to exploit the weak leg, especially on the flank. So it's more than just what happened in training, but based on how the team that he has chosen for the World Cup there are a lot of midfielders and a lot of strikers. But in terms of the wingers, he doesn't have the legacy of a lot of wingers. So Leo, I think, is like a weapon for him in the second half of the matches to run against people, to use his power, and also for the strategy because he's a tall player.
Liam, Spain, the 2010 winners, are out of the tournament for the round of 16 stage for the second consecutive time. They were beaten by Morocco. It had to go all the way down to penalties. Morocco winning 3-0 on penalties against the Spanish. But I want to talk about the game itself. Did it play out how you expected? And what was the difference today? I mean, the dreaded penalty shootout really is a lottery, but why weren't Spain, who would have been the more fancied team, able to get the better of this Moroccan outfit?
Oh, well, I was hearing some of the conversations offset about, not starting Morata, and I can completely agree. Spain like to play tiki-taka football and, pass, but Asensio has never been a striker. So far it has worked for them, but they haven't come up against the greatest of opposition. Sure, Germany, but it hasn't been a great Germany team. So, yeah, and they pass. They had, what was it, almost 70% of the possession, but not much chances created to show for it. So they pass, and they just don't shoot the ball, and that was the problem. They couldn't, they want to pass the ball over the line, and Morocco would let them do that. So if they had simply started a Morata and taken some shots and taken some chances and not tried to pass the ball over the line like they did, they could have definitely won. They were terrible in penalties. And Morocco could have also won it in regular time, though they had a little less of the possession. They had some of the better chances. So, you might look at the possession and say Spain deserved it, but I would say Morocco deserved it, and that's partially why I predicted them to win it.
Yeah, possession doesn't win games. 63% possession to Spain, 20% to Morocco. But this hindsight analysis, though, we have to be careful of it because Spain...
Liam said it yesterday.
Okay, fine, Liam, I'll give you credit for that. But Spain comes with the strategy, tiki-taka, pass, play like Barcelona. If they win with this, well, we say beautiful. But the minute they lose, we say, oh, you're passing too much. They beat Costa Rica 7-0, and you said, wow, they started the tournament beautifully. The minute they lose, you say they're passing too much. So where do we come down here?
It's a part of the game, because if you play a defensive game and you keep a clean sheet and you score with a counter goal in the last minute, you say, great. If you keep park the bus and you concede 7, you're going to be like, that's idiot. It's a crucial part of the possession game that you have that penetrative speed up, acceleration in the final third. You need to have those moments where we found a gap because we moved the ball comfortably. We found a gap and now we utilize that. And I don't think Spain moved the ball fast enough and then didn't choose the right times to speed it up. And even if they chose to speed it up, there wasn't really the supportive runs that would really break the defensive line. And as we mentioned, I think if you put in Morata, you're now able to, from the outside, put in more crosses and create some danger with that.
Yeah.
And they were just waiting and hoping for something.
What you do lack with an Alvaro Morata, though, Shavar, is speed, isn't it? He's not the quickest of strikers.
No, he's not going to run in behind the strikers. I mean, it's two. Today you saw two contrasting styles. Spain is going to move the ball, probe, waiting for the moments, and then you see Morocco blocks of 4-1, 4-1 formation, and they have been doing that excellently since the start of the tournament, consistently, very strong in their play. And the Spanish Armada couldn't pass the Moroccan blockade.
Yeah. If Sarabia comes on, Coach Price, and finds the goal, instead of hitting the upright and going out of play, then we'd say, wow, beautiful Spanish play.
No, we'd
and
say,
they're contenders.
No, we'd say that they're fortunate because for the entire game they were probing, and they couldn't find the outlet. And I tell people this World Cup is going to go to a team that has a number 9 that is clinical. And what we don't have on the Spain team is a clinical number 9. Or if we have him, he's on the bench. And he brings on Morata very late in the game. I believe that Morata should start. I don't believe a senior should be starting. He's not a centre forward. You need to have somebody who is used to getting that ball in the back of the net. And right now, Spain will pass you into submission. But if you can't get that ball into that striker who is going to be clinical, can play off the shoulder of defenders, get behind and get goals, then you're going to be in trouble. And they played against a very good team who had good defensive blocks. 4 blocks in midfield, 4 blocks in defense. And we have seen Morocco how disciplined and structured and organized they are. They keep a very good shape. And they did it again today. What they were relied on is on the counter, where they got a couple of opportunities very late in extra time. If that centre forward was a little bit more clinical, they could have won it then. But I think Spain paid the price for not having that point person up there.
Yeah, they call it death by 1,000 passes, and that's what Spain has been doing all World Cup. I want to talk a little bit more about that lack of clinical striker in front of goal for the Spanish when we come back from this break.
Final Whistle brought to you by Digicel, Grace, Pepsi, and Burger King.
Grace Foods got the taste that moves you. Yard and abroad, it moves you. Grace Foods, the taste that moves you. Feel the vibes and the time when the day Grace Foods from the end. Yeah, the taste that moves you. From the spices move you. Everybody shout out Grace. When the food sweet, we dance. When the vibe nice, we love. The taste that moves you. Grace bringing the food you love.
Grace has a taste that everyone loves. That's why when we move with Grace.
What about yourself?
Because it's the season of giving, enjoy enough pickings this Christmas with a chance to pick and win your share of over 16 million in cash and prizes. Plus, get 25% off a 7 or 28-day Prime Rota bundle in the My Digicel app today. Enter to pick and win with Digicel this Christmas.
Final Whistle brought to you by Digicel, Grace, Pepsi, and Burger King.
Welcome back to Final Whistle now. So we've been talking about Spain, and Coach Price has been at pains to point out that they should have started Morata, and he would have probably given them that extra cutting edge in front of goal. But just looking at the statistics though, 14 attempts at goal for Spain to 6 from Morocco, only 2 on target though for the Spanish. Inside the penalty area for Spain, 9 to Morocco's 3. So if you're Luis Enrique, it's going to plan. It's just that your team isn't finishing off the goals, Coach Coley, isn't it? I mean, we can look now and say, well, they weren't clinical, they didn't take shots, but they were getting into the opposition box and they were creating chances, weren't they?
No, I've been very critical of the Spanish football and Enriquez. And Portugal and Morocco. I had said that I wanted them to win. To the point now I'm getting calls for person asking me to give prediction. Anyway,
You reach your 70% yet?
No, but Coach Coley.
At 60.
Coach Coley, we'll give you these two, Coach Coley. But remember, you had also warned us about Iran.
And Qatar.
And Saudi.
Those were easy groups. Very easy groups. But anyway, Tiki Taka needs two things, right? Different from the ball movements. I studied in Spain for a little bit, and Tiki Taka needs two things, and it's called orientation changes and game change rhythm. All right, that makes it very effective. What the Moroccans did today was that they basically pressed not only the team, but what they did was to press, what's his name, Busquets. That's one of the four. You say Brazil need what's his name,
Casemiro.
A Spanish team to play tiki taka, you need Busquets. So what they did was that any Israeli striker, what he did was he shadow pressed him many times, or he's always pressing, and they put him in a diamond four, and he's always in the middle. So every time he's on pressure, he's a player who many times will change the rhythm, will cause a lot of orientation changes to get the ball quickly to the wingers. And from that's how the tiki-taka work. The wingers, especially in the half space, they now probe and try to get the ball. And many times a pullback, we will find that Asen, although he started, I don't think he should have started. And they could have gotten chances to pull back to the likes of I'm forgetting the name, Pedro,
Pedri and Gavi.
And Gavi.
The box. But he has been playing a bit too slow. There's no game rhythm, no changes. So you pass, you put people to sleep, because the eye is moving, because tiki-taka is about the eyes. The eyes moving here, and then the eyes sleep. And then game change rhythm. You didn't see that today because Busquets is always shadow pressed by the striker, to the point in which the striker, I think he forgot he was a striker in the entire game. But I think Morata should have started. I think Williams should have come on a little bit, because now you need that speed when you put and you change it to him. You need that speed going inside as quickly as possible, and then you create from there. You see the likes of the former when the Spain team was a great team. You see those wingers very energetic, and so forth like that. So I think it's just a whole model of what Enrique is trying. I don't think he's getting it right, He's getting, what the tiki-taka is about. He played, but I don't think he's getting it right, because they're playing too slow, especially in the final third. In the tiki-taka is rondos very quickly, pop, pop, pop. You see last night when you see the pass play to Silva and that one touch in the space, because if you make the pass too late, that space is going to be closed. It's going to be closed, and that's what happened today. The pass is too slow, is playing across. If I'm the coach, the ball is just playing right in front of me, and I'm happy. So Spanish team hasn't been good for a long time.
Yeah, it sounds harsh. It sounds harsh for a team that won the tournament in 2010. But Sharona, there's another aspect to the game as well that we haven't spoken about, and it's the penalties. Because after all that fancy talk from Coach Coley and Coach Price and Rademacher and everybody here, Spain could still have gone through to the quarterfinals had they scored their penalties. But what went wrong? I mean, is it a matter of a lack of confidence? What did you see as a player for those three Spaniards stepping up who all failed to convert? Was it a matter of a lack of confidence, or did it look like they just aren't good penalty takers?
It looked like the keeper is a good penalty stopper.
Yeah, he is.
Because he was the one looking the most confident out there with those penalties. And I'm observing now this football, what it has evolved to. And a lot of the penalties is not about placement, which I learned. We focus on placement. It's now about gimmicks. So you are waiting to see where the keeper will go. So when this keeper moves to one side and you're saying he's going there, he's going to go back the other way. So the keeper, he was just lively. And they didn't know which way he was going, and he got a chance to stop some of the balls, and they weren't all very powerful either.
The approach, to add to that, the approach, I mean, alongside looking nervous, their approach, their run-up, everything about it was just, not good. And then they played the ball right into the keeper's hands.
But what's that down to? Is it down to a lack of practice or a lack of confidence? I can't
After
imagine.
1,000 penalties?
It can't be practice because Enrique was telling, I tell my players to take 1,000 penalties.
I mean, and those guys who went first, second, third, fourth, they have to be the best penalty takers on the team.
Yeah.
Well, but it's all three guys who missed. I mean, Sarabia stepped up first. He
came on for the penalty.
No, let me say, there's a difference with penalties. So you can practice to take the penalty. What you cannot recreate is the environment in which you're going to take that penalty. Yeah. Now, in this environment, you're saying, may I go beat Morocco, and they took you down tooth and nail. Instead of resting at the top and being tired, they came back very disciplined, and they're like, you are not going to score on me today. It's not for you today, Spain. And when they went up for their penalties, they were confident and then run up and kick the ball.
But the thing about it as well is that you talk about the fact that Sarabia came on late and maybe he didn't get the flow of the game, and that's why he hit his penalty off the upright. But Soler didn't come on as late as he did, and his penalty was saved, and Busquets played the entire game.
There was poor penalties. There were just poor penalties. And one of the things is that people have to understand, penalties are lottery. You're going to score some and you're going to miss some. And unfortunately for Spain today, they missed too many.
They didn't score any.
Exactly.
Yeah, and now they're out of the World Cup. So let us get ahead now and look to what's to come tomorrow. The Netherlands, Coach Rademacher's home country. Not tomorrow, of course, Friday, because there's a rest day tomorrow and Thursday. And they'll be taking on Argentina in the quarterfinals. And we do have the bracket to show you how they shape up, to show you how everybody will shape up, because to an end today. But Coach, while we bring that up on screen for our viewers, talk to me about that game.
I mean, before we go to the Netherlands game, I do want to point out two Dutchmen that played today. On Morocco side, they have a bunch of players that born somewhere else. I mean, even Hakimi was born in Spain, take the decisive penalty. But we have Amrabat and Ziyech, who both Netherlands Dutch roots. And again, I thought it was amazing to see Amrabat work in that midfield over there. Yeah. I mean, throughout the World Cup, but as he does it against better teams and better players, you have to give him more credit for what he does. Win the ball. When he gets it, he's composed enough to complete his passes or most of his passes. And I even saw an interview after where he mentioned he stayed up till 3 a.m. last night with the medical team and ended up in having to get an injection to play for the match. And then when you put a match like that out there, it's something that you can buy him, as a club. But this is something that the World Cup can get out of a country, out of a team. This is my country that I do this for. So you go to new heights. So really, I was impressed with Morocco. Might not be the most nice team to watch, but for me, especially as a coach, I love watch when I see Ziyech run back to block a passing lane. Those kind of things is great to see. So I just want to have that mention of Morocco before we go to the real Netherlands now. It's going to be a match, and I just hope I see a lot of sad faces in Jamaica, because it seems we have to get through Messi and Brazil, and I don't apologize in advance if it happens. I'm going to be very happy. But they have a lot of fans for a reason. As we said, Messi, God, at this stage, Messi performance has lifted again to a new level. And it's really him taking Argentina on his back to see if they can win that World Cup. So going up against them, Netherlands will be the light underdog, but Van Gaal will definitely be looking at the tactical plan and find ways where he feels.
What's the key to success for the Netherlands?
I think it will be calm on the ball. If they give up the balls too quick, they're going to get the pressure from Argentina. And in those transition moments, Argentina will find Messi with space. Or they will find Di Maria isolated in a 1v1. And I think if Netherlands can minimize the transition moments in our own half, they can find a comfort maybe to somewhat be comfortable with not having too much of the ball and finding moments to go forward with energy. In those changes of the rhythm, as they say, yes, we're comfortable over here absorbing something in non-dangerous areas, but when we win it now, I expect them now with Depay, Gakpo to really have some speed going forward.
Yeah, and there's a bracket. So the dream semi-final with Brazil and Argentina is what Coach Rademacher wants to spoil. Liam, just before we go to the break, I want to bring you in on this one as well. What's the key for both teams, Netherlands and Argentina, in their quarterfinal match on Friday?
Well, I'm interested to see how Netherlands will set up. You know, they do tend to play a bit defensively, so I will give Netherlands the upper hand in Argentina. You know, I like them as a team, but I haven't been hugely convinced with them. You know, I do think they have a lot of talent on their team, but just the victories they've had, they have not been, you know, like we saw with Portugal, they haven't been that dominant, and the teams have got back into the game. Netherlands, I think, is tactically set up fantastically, exploited its place against the US fantastically. So in terms of talent, I think the you know, Argentina have the better side, but tactically, Netherlands have seemed to have gotten it right, you know, previously in the tournament. So it's gonna be very interesting. You know, as we speak, Argentina do not have the, you know, South American flair we usually associate with them. They do also tend to, you know, not play like a Brazil and kind of, you know, ease into the game and maybe win a game by one love, 2 love. So I expect to see a very tactical game, probably low scoring, and probably go to extra time or penalties.
Coach Rademacher's heart will be beating at 1,000 beats per second if that happens. So we're going to take a break now on Final Whistle. When we come back, we discuss more. And of course, we have to look at Brazil versus Croatia.
Final Whistle brought to you by Digicel, Grace, Pepsi, and Burger King.
Because it's the season of giving, enjoy enough pickings this Christmas with a chance to pick and win your share of over 16 million in cash and prizes. Plus, get 25% off a 7 or 28-day Prime Brota bundle in the My Digicel app today. Enter to pick and win with Digicel this Christmas.
Make money now with local City and Guilds and ABE endorsed certificates and Distinction College. Start new online and face-to-face classes very soon in our Make Money Now career courses and get qualified jobs worldwide, or start your own business in practical pediatric, geriatric, and psychiatric nursing, phlebotomy and pharmacy technician, early childhood education, child care, cashiering, call center, event planning, receptionist, customer service, housekeeping, waitering, food preparation, bartending, cake baking, plumbing, motor vehicle, electrical installation, air conditioning, makeup, hairdressing, nail technician, and cosmetology. No subjects acquired, no age limit. Register this week and get City and Guilds Maths and English classes for free. Call us at 3564167.
Grace Foods got the taste that moves you. Yard and abroad, it moves you. Grace Foods, the taste that moves you. Fuel the vibes and the time when the day Grace Foods from the end. Yeah, the taste that moves you. From the spices move you. Everybody shout out Grace. When the food sweet, we dance. When the vibe nice, we love. The taste that moves you. Grace bringing the food you love.
Grace has a taste that everyone loves. That's why when we move with Grace.
Final Whistle brought to you by Digicel, Grace, Pepsi, and Burger King.
All right, welcome back now to Final Whistle. So we're going to have heart rate monitors on standby for that Netherlands versus Argentina clash on Friday. Shavar's heart, I'm not sure how good it is at the moment, but it will be tested on Friday when his Argentina team goes up against Coach Rademacher's Netherlands team. I remember they do have a little friendly banter going on. We saw the USA flag exchanged. And
still friendly now.
Let's see what happens on Friday. But Shavar, what's the key to success for either team in that game, Netherlands versus Argentina?
As we were saying off camera, I think it's about who's going to win the midfield. And, you know, also who's going to be able to recover the ball more to start the play. And I think Argentina has a better opportunity of doing that. As well as if the coach chooses to bring back De Maria, it will be very interesting to see him up against Daley Blin. An older player.
Di Maria will play a left wing, right?
Huh?
Di Maria will play on the left.
He plays on the right. Well, any side. Right. So it'll be interesting.
I'm going to get nervous now. You have that heart rate monitor?
It'll be interesting to see that matchup. And obviously, I can't say much about Lionel Messi. So if they give him the chance and the space and the time to dictate the game and to dictate the flow of the game, it's going to be lights out.
Yeah, they're going to be in trouble. Brazil versus Croatia. Coach Coley, let me start with you. What's the key to success in this game?
Okay, before I do, we have short time, but before I go, I think Argentina versus Netherlands. Argentina will have a better chance if you give Coach Eric and Coach Thomas a boxing glove.
What do you call it again? Baby giant? No, we can't win that.
They will have a better chance. I go with Netherlands. They have been. I believe in Coach Van Gaal. I believe in the better coach. You see what they did against USA quickly with Dumfries and Blin. They're playing. He has changed the distance between them, especially in the attacking third, so they can counter press. So doing that is very, very good, and Switzerland should look at that when they play this 3-5-2 against Brazil and
Croatia.
Yeah, I forget teams when they're playing against Brazil. It's gonna be a tough game. Although they have 4 days, but Brazovic in the last match he ran 16,000 kilometers. I probably have never seen that before. I don't know how well he will recover, but they will need him for this game a lot. The legs are going between the midfield of the Croatia team. So I think inside of the midfield, once Brazil can win the battle inside of the midfield, they will have a great chance. Getting the ball out to the wingers. I hear this word being shown right out.
Yeah, Coach Price, the Brazilians, I think it's fair to say, hitting their stride at the right time. We saw what they did against South Korea, beating them 4-1 in the round of 16. But for you, what's the key to success for them, and what's the key to success for Croatia in this contest?
Well, the key to success is Neymar, the X factor. I'm still amazed at this miraculous recovery. After seeing that swollen ankle, I didn't think he was going to play another game in the World Cup. And to play all of 80 minutes in the round of 16, he looks to be in good nick. And once he's there, there's just a different Brazil, the team looks confident. They want to play around him. He's the catalyst. Now, for Croatia, Modric is still the man who pulls the strings. Like Eric said earlier, he doesn't know if he'll recover. Coach Coley also said that Brozovic ran 1,600 kilometers, and that's a lot.
16 kilometers.
In 3 days to recover from that and come back and play against a marauding Brazilian team who's going to move the ball around a lot. It's going to be a lot for them, And I think it will be one in midfield. Casemiro is having an excellent World Cup. He's directing traffic, getting people moving in front of them. It's going to be an exciting match.
But Croatia is the Brazil of Europe. So.
Yeah, but Brazil is the Brazil of...
They don't call Brazil the Brazil of South America.
The Brazil of the world.
Sharona, what are you expecting?
Well, I'm expecting some good football here on out. I don't expect us to see any more 7-1s and any of those blowout scores. The teams are very aware of what is at stake. Now you've gotten through the group, you've gotten through the knockout stage. All eyes now are on the trophy. And
so Brazil or Croatia?
For Brazil. So Brazil has to just continue improving and playing as a team.
That's with your heart or with your head?
Both. They played
no, you
well.
Can't think with both. Come on.
They played well.
It's either.
They played well, and I'm expecting them to play even better. They only played 40 minutes.
Come on, Sharona, be confident.
Only 10 seconds. Who are you going with, Liam? Brazil or Croatia?
Brazil.
Short and simple. Thank you so much for joining us on another edition of Final Whistle. Thanks to Eric, thanks to Sharona, thanks to Andrew, Shavar, thanks Miguel and Liam. Join us again on Friday. We've got a couple of days off. You guys can get some relaxation, and then we come back with you right here to break down what you see at the greatest show on earth. Thanks to our producer Yannick Jones as well. We see you when we see you on Friday. Hopefully there will be some happy faces inside the studio.
Because it's the season season of giving, enjoy enough pickings this Christmas with a chance to pick and win your share of over 16 million in cash and prizes. Plus, get 25% off a 7 or 28-day Prime Broader bundle in the My Digicel app today. Enter to pick and win with Digicel this Christmas.
Final Whistle is brought to you by...
Get 25% off a 7 or 28-day Prime Broader bundle in the My Digicel app today. Enter to pick and win with Digicel this Christmas.
Nothing moves your vibe, your mood, or your appetite like the taste of grace.
Pepsi.
Fool! You just get what? What you hungry, man? You're the king of this. Like how what are the king of burgers?
Taste rules your way at Burger King, the best tasting burgers under the sun.
Up next, the Supreme Ventures Lottery Draw.
Welcome to the official live drawing of the Supreme Ventures Lottery Games. This could be your lucky day. Get your tickets out and let the games begin.
Good afternoon. It's Tuesday, December 6, 2022. I am Deandra. Welcome to our Supreme Ventures Drive Time Live game draw. Now here's a quick look at our 1 p.m. as well as our 3 p.m. winning numbers. Remember, all Supreme Ventures live draws are being supervised by the Betting Gaming and Lotteries Commission and